Question number 4. Order. Question number 4, Marama Davidson.
Tēnā koe e te māngai, tēnā koutou te whare. Ko taku pātai ki te minita whare āhuru a ka uiui. Ka tū āia I runga I te mana o tā Te Pirimia kōrero e pāna ki tētahi pakirehua I te take kore whare a te hunga Tōrangapū whakawhitinga. The government has done a lot of work in the area of homelessness.
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Aye.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Marama Davidson.
How can she say that her government is doing enough when at our inquiry at Te Pirimia yesterday we had a packed wharenui with person after person all day long saying that what the government is doing is just not enough?
Well, Mr Speaker.
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, Mr Speaker, I can say that actually this government is taking the issues around social housing and emergency housing and homelessness very, very seriously. To the extent where we actually did the work that the members are doing now, we did it over 12 months ago. So that was part of the review that this government led. From that, we saw $2.5 million going in just last year alone, an increase then of more than $41 million through budget 2016. Since then, I've announced another $9 million going into the Housing First initiative and equally around better tenant outcomes, so more money for that wraparound services. Equally, of course, we've seen the changes to the special need grants where we can help people with motels and so they no longer have to pay that back. So we have an extensive work plan around emergency housing. We are a long way through it, but we've still got more work to do.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, Marama Davidson.
Did she say no to being part of our inquiry because she doesn't want to hear from people like Peter Jeffries from Court Community Housing who said of this government's response is just throwing scraps?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, Mr Speaker, I would have met with Peter Jeffries from Court more times than that member has. In fact, I meet with community housing providers and non-government organisations weekly and are actually very connected to what is happening in this issue. I visit the City Mission on a regular basis. I am in touch with the Manais and the work that's going on. Well, the member can't have it both ways. She can't simply sit there and say that we're not doing anything and then say that what we are doing is not enough, because actually those two things contradict each other.
Supplementary.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Marama Davidson.
Was the reason she wasn't there yesterday because she didn't want to be confronted with stories like the mother of a child with a disability who's stuck paying $400 a week, living in a dirty caravan with no cooking facility?
Mr Speaker,
The Honourable Paula
the
Bennett.
reason that I am not part of this inquiry is because I actually speak to people at the coalface and people that are suffering from this on a weekly basis. And I don't need to go 18 months back in the program of government that work that this government is already doing. So as the member themselves would say, what they need is action, and that's what the National Party and this government are doing.
Order.
Supplementary question.
Order. Supplementary question, the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Minister, since when has the coalface been the local deli?
If the member chooses to answer, she doesn't have to.
It's probably the rest home that you should be in.
Oh, hang on. Order. Order. Supplementary question, Right Honourable
Minister, does the Minister remember making such a similar comment, being challenged for a race in the Main Street of Mangata Roto, giving her half a kilometre start and she wouldn't take it up?
Mr Speaker,
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
in fairness, I don't believe in elder abuse, and for that matter, I probably don't think he should be in a rest home either.
Question number 5, Alfred Nardo.